Meet my new friend, Mary Jin. Mary Jin is a born and raised American from Virginia who, after meeting her Filipino-Canadian husband, relocated to the Philippines. She has now been living an authentic Filipino lifestyle in Cavite for nearly a year and a half. I had a wonderful conversation with Mary Jin. We discussed her adjustment to life in the Philippines, what it's like being a foreigner there, her progress in learning Tagalog, and so much more. I hope you guys enjoy the video. But yeah, it's cool to see you again. We met here in Vancouver playing pickleball, of all things. I've gotten really into that this year. And so it was cool. You surprised me because you were like, hey, are you like a vlogger? Do you make videos? And I was like, yeah. But you're the first person that's ever approached me that knows my content that isn't Filipino.
That makes sense. I thought you were saying first person ever. I was like, no way.
Well, it doesn't happen that often because I'm really not that famous. I'm not that popular. But like once in a while, I'm lucky enough that once in a while someone will recognize me from my videos. But 100% of the time, they're Filipino.
That's so funny.
Yeah, when you were like, hey, are you a vlogger? I was like, yeah, but like, how would you know that? And then you started speaking Tagalog and I was like, wait, what? It was kind of a mind bender for me.
Mind blowing. I know. It was a funny scene of just an American and a Canadian speaking Tagalog in Canada on the pickleball courts. It's funny that you say that though, because, we live in the Philippines, so it feels like you're so famous, it's your target audience. It's like the whole country here. So I walked by, I was like, I know that guy. But, we were visiting my husband's family. I was like, he's not one of his like high school friends or something. I'm like, how do I know him? Because I don't really know anyone else here. And then I was like, I know where I've seen him before. But then I wasn't sure. You always got to ask instead of just assuming, right?
Right. Yeah. You don't want to get the wrong person, I guess. But yeah, it was great meeting you and your husband, Jeremy. So yeah, and you're back in the Philippines now. So your husband is from Vancouver. Is that how it works?
He is. Yeah,
Okay.
he's full Filipino. His family's from up north in Isabela, and he's first generation born in Canada.
Right. Okay. And where are you from originally?
I'm from America, in Virginia.
Virginia. Wow. Okay. So how did you guys meet?
We were both missionaries, and our missions organization has a training facility in Hawaii, and we actually met there in 2019.
So you both met away from home, basically, in a different place altogether. Okay, I'll be honest. Learning to speak Tagalog is pretty hard. But with the right resources, it can be a whole lot easier. And I've got you covered with my beginner's Tagalog course. With 18 comprehensive video lessons, this 2-volume course makes it simple to start building your Tagalog skills from the ground up. Plus, you'll get lifetime access to PDF vocabulary sheets that will help you practice and retain what you learn. If that sounds good, click the first link in the description below to start learning Tagalog today. Now, back to the video. And then how did that work? Did you move to Canada? Did he go to the States or?
Actually, neither of them. It was funny. We started dating in December of 2019, and then we, went home for Christmas, and he came back to the Philippines in January of 2020. And then I was in Rwanda, actually. It's like, we need a map here, don't we? Just all over. Essentially, we were long distance for 6 months, like our first 6 months dating. And then, of course, 2020, in the middle of that was COVID. Philippines was wild. Everywhere was wild, but especially Philippines. So it was essentially, they were given like 2 days in March that, anyone could leave. And then they were completely closed for 3 months. Even Filipino citizens, couldn't come and go. In June of 2020, it once again opened for those 2 days. And he booked a flight to America, which was crazy that they even let him in, because Canadian passport, like on paper, it was said that they weren't allowed in, but somehow they let him in. And that was kind of our dating situation. And then we lived basically the next 3 years in America together. Yeah.
In Virginia.
From that point on. In Kansas City, actually. Once again, we're just all over. But yeah, our missions organization, we're at the location there in Kansas City.
And so when when was the first time that you went to the Philippines then, out of all of those trips?
I went in 2019, September of 2019. So Jeremy and I, we actually came here together on like short-term missions. So we were here for 3 months. I mean, we were falling in love with each other at that time because, we're in close proximity in a foreign country. But then we were also both really independently falling in love with the Philippines, which was very unexpected. I did not want to come to the Philippines originally. I'm not sure why, but I think I just had it in my mind that I didn't want to go. And then that was what I had made up in my mind. But totally it surprised me and like fell in love with this country when I was here.
So for Jeremy, I mean, he is Filipino, but how much did he go back and forth between Canada and the Philippines growing up?
I think really only once. I think he went when he was like 3 years old. And then the second time he had been was with me in 2019.
So that's why you're saying that it was kind of like exploring a foreign country together, because it was a really new experience for him as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think really opened his eyes of like, oh wow, this is why my family is like this is why my family likes dried fish, or this is why they fold their clothes like that, or whatever, because he's really seeing it, the culture firsthand, besides it just being associated with his family.
Right. So then when you first arrived there, was it hard for you to kind of adapt to that? Was it different than you were expecting?
The thing about the Philippines is that it's just always a party, like everywhere you go, even if it's a sad occasion, it's a party. And I felt like that made it very easy to adjust because I am naturally outgoing and like to be with people. So I think that part fit very well with my personality, made it easy to adjust.
So how long have you been in the Philippines, like in total, I guess?
Like 2 years. And then we've been living here permanently for like 16 months now.
Your permanent residence has been in the Philippines for those 16
Yeah.
months. Yeah.
Yeah, it has been.
And where are you guys at in the Philippines?
We live in Cavite.
Yeah, Cavite is nice. It's kind of like accessible to the city, but it's also feels like you're not in the hustle and bustle of Manila and all of its craziness.
Yeah, totally.
What would you say the biggest difference is between American culture and Filipino culture?
It's it's the speed, the efficiency, the pace of life, or the way things are done. It's so different. Americans love to joke about the DMV, right? Like the Department of Motor Vehicles, where you get your licenses and stuff. Everyone always jokes about like how long it takes and whatever. But it feels like everywhere is the DMV here. Like it's like I'm gonna go to the grocery store. It might literally take me 45 minutes to wait in line at the grocery store. Or, getting legal papers is a whole other ball game here, That's been the biggest adjustment and I would say challenge as well for me.
So like 16 months in, where are you at in that process? Do you feel like you are okay with the slower pace now, or does it still kind of stress you out?
Yeah, I think I'm learning to plan for it more because in the beginning I was like, oh, you can just run to the grocery store and buy one thing and it takes 5 minutes. But I think now that I have adjusted expectations, it has helped me a lot be able to enjoy living here instead of it just stressing me out. On the other hand, like, that's kind of the personal life side of things, but then also like our work, I think I'm still adjusting to where it's like meeting times, they don't always stay the same. And then, when you're planning several meetings in a row and then it just affects everything, I think I'm still working on kind of the work side of things. But the personal life, groceries, legal papers, driving, traffic, I think that feels more adjusted now.
Yeah, there is that concept of like Filipino time, meaning that people don't always show up on time for things. Now, I always kind of thought that that was more of like with social interactions, but you're saying that that also bleeds into like more organized or professional settings in the Philippines?
Yeah, it can be. I would say like our work is kind of an interesting hybrid because it's like we're all friends and family. We're all very close and it really is like our community of just like even like social things, but then it's also work things. So I think they overlap so much that the social aspect kind of affects that as well.
Maybe people see it as more of a social event than a professional setting because of the relationship to them.
For sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. The whole like slower pace thing. I mean, I'm with you. Like it can be challenging. I spent a lot of time in Colombia as well, and it's very much like that. A lot of steps to do things that in Canada are very quick. But I think what you get with that, I guess the plus side is that everyone becomes really patient, like almost out of necessity. People are flexible and they're like, yeah, whatever, it didn't work out, whatever, we'll get the next bus because this one never showed up or whatever the issue might be. So I guess that's kind of like the silver lining, is that people are chill. No one's like getting into a panic and stuff where, sometimes here in Canada, people are a little bit stuffy where it's like, oh, why don't you open up another cash here at the grocery store? Like, we're waiting in line, and people are impatient because they've come to expect, pretty fast customer service and things like
Yeah,
that. So
totally.
yeah, there's always I guess some pros and cons. Did you say that driving was also something you had to get used to there? Does that mean that you're driving in the Philippines?
Oh yeah. My husband and I both drive here. I actually drove first because he didn't get a license until 2023, I think, because in Vancouver you can get around so easily on the bus. So he just didn't need it. So in our previous trips between 2019 and moving here is I always drove, which was so funny. Like, just to me and to everyone, they thought it was hilarious that I was like driving this Filipino guy around. But now we both have licenses, we both drive. It's wild. It's honestly like playing a game of Mario Kart. And it's just like hundreds and hundreds of calculated risks over and over again. But I would say we're both very used to it by now. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never driven in the Philippines. I was only there for a short time. I wasn't there long enough to really get the confidence to try it. But I mean, even as a pedestrian, it seems crazy. It also looks like Mario Kart. So is it still stressful now, or are you used to taking those calculated risks?
I think it's only stressful when our baby is crying in the back seat. If he doesn't love his car seat, that definitely adds an extra stress layer. But other than that, if he's not crying, then we're good.
I mean, that's cool. It sounds like you're living a very Filipino lifestyle. I mean, does that count as living in the province?
Yeah, it depends on who you ask, I think, for the most part. So like where we live is more of a town city, like we don't have an SM, but we have some malls around here. And then where our work is, that one is like province for sure. Though, you're passing carabaos and the rice fields like on the way there. So it's nice. We get kind of the mix, where we live, it's closer to things. And then during the day, we get to kind of be out in the middle of nowhere.
That is nice, because being in the city, especially in the Philippines, where from the Canadian perspective, it's such a big population. I'm not used to that many people, and being in Manila is kind of a culture shock in and of itself. So I really liked it when I was able to get out of the city a little bit. And I did go to Cavite. I went to Tagaytay for a few days, and then we went down to the south. We went to Bohol and Cebu and stuff like that. And when I got out of the city, it felt nice. It was like, oh yeah, this is cool. It feels like average people live this way, and it's a little bit more chill and more nature and stuff, less kind of concrete jungle and more beaches and nice views and whatever. But I don't know, the farther you get out of the city, you also lose some conveniences, right? Like being close to the international airport is really nice, or there might be, certain restaurants or malls that you want to go to that they only have in the bigger cities. And so having that mix is kind of best of both worlds, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's true. And we probably end up in Manila once a week. Sometimes it's more, sometimes less. But there's always things, airport runs, or meeting up with friends. My husband plays rugby in Manila, so there's all kinds of things that we end up there probably more often than we would like. But it's nice that we're close.
I mean, how long does it take to drive there?
You can get to the airport in an hour and a half. An hour if it's in the middle of the night, but average daytime, and if you're going somewhere beyond the airport, because that's pretty far south, maybe 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. That's pretty accessible. So living the Filipino lifestyle out in Cavite, are you guys also eating a lot of Filipino food? Do you like Filipino food?
Yeah, we do. I definitely have preferences on, I don't like it too sweet, which I know that a lot of Filipino food leans that way. And then we're also both pretty health conscious, and there's certain things, especially Filipino party foods, that don't lend itself that way. But we do. And then I would say at home, because we cook most of our meals at home, it's a mix where it's Filipino ingredients, but then a Western style, we're still using the things that are the cheapest and most available, like sayote or malunggay. But, I'm stir frying it instead of making tinola or something like that, So it's definitely, we eat a fusion at home. And then, of course, when we're out, we get the Filipino food. My favorite is mang inasal, which we We just got one in our town. Super exciting. But it's still at that point where it's so crowded. You can't go at dinner time. You have to wait so long.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, yeah, I think some Filipino food is not like super healthy. There's a lot of like fried stuff and things like that. A lot of sauces, like you said, the sweet sauce, adobo, super sweet. Tocino, it's like very sweet. And yeah, it is kind of the Filipino flavor for sure, the sweetness. Do you have a favorite Filipino dish in general?
I do really love tinola. I think it's just like all around, it's just like always good. And it's like a mild flavor, so it feels like easy. Like anytime I do really love sinigang too, but I feel like I have to be in the right mood for it to get the sour flavor. Yeah.
Yeah, the sinigang is very different than like anything we have in North America, I think. That sour broth is just like, it's very unusual to our palates, I think. I'm not really a soup guy to start with, and so combination of like a soup, which I probably wouldn't normally eat, and then like the sourness is like sometimes pretty challenging for me. But I know that's a popular one. A lot of the people that I talk to on my channel love sinigang. So it's like, it's definitely one of those Filipino classics that you find everywhere. I love sisig though. I think that's my favorite.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I like the tofu sisig, but the pork one, it's too crunchy for me. I think I can't get past thinking about
What it
it
is.
being a pork jaw.
Right. Like the first time I ever tried sisig was like an experience like what you're talking about, where I was really thinking about like, oh, it's like ears and face meat and stuff, and that's going to be challenging, and it is very crunchy. And so the first time I had it, I couldn't eat it. It was like really hard for me. And then I just had it in my mind that I didn't like sisig, and I didn't have it for years. And then I kind of slowly, like I'd go to a Filipino party and try it or something. And then when I actually ended up going to the Philippines, I got it from like a street vendor. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the best thing ever. I've been
So
missing
much
out on,
better.
yeah, I've been missing out on sisig this whole time. Like just think of it as fried pork and it's fine, which I think sometimes it is just fried pork. Yeah. I'm not sure how much is actually like face and ears like today, but
Yeah, it's true.
it's like eating a hot dog. It's like, what's in a hot dog?
Yeah. Who knows?
Don't ask.
I do want to share a Filipino food opinion that I think is controversial,
Okay.
but I really love is this is back to the Western Filipino fusion, is that I take the sinigang mix and put it on popcorn, like popcorn seasoning.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
like unbelievably sour, but I think it's so good. But then it's like sacrilege to my Filipino friends. Some of them have tried it and been like, okay, I can see how you like it. But then they're like, a lot of them are like, no way. Why would you do that?
The sinigang mix is like what you would mix with water to create the broth. Is that the
Yeah,
part that
just the
you're...
powder.
So that's like the tamarind and all of that. The stuff that makes it sour is what's in that mix. And then you put that on popcorn. Wow. That is interesting.
You could try it. You said you weren't a soup guy, so I wanted to offer that.
That could be my
You can have
entry.
sinigang popcorn.
Yeah, that could be my way to enjoy sinigang. Wow, that's a great tip. So when I met you here in Vancouver, you were speaking some Tagalog. How much Tagalog have you learned since being in the Philippines?
Unti lang.
Konti lang, sakto lang.
Pero I wasn't prepared for my Tagalog, so I need to think.
It's okay.
I think so in our like friend circle here, there's a lot of foreigners and then a lot of, Filipinos that are from here used to being around foreigners. And I have learned probably the most out of our friend group. And so it seems like I know a lot. They're like, wow, ang galing mo. Like anything I say, thank you po. And they're like, wow, Tagalog speaker pala. And then, so I think the bar, for me, the bar feels very low. And Filipinos, they're just so over the moon. Just any Tagalog that I speak, where I feel very affirmed in it. But I'm also aware that it's konti lang pa.
But that's okay. Okay lang yun. Sinusubukan mo. Filipinos are encouraging with that. You don't have to say anything. And so, I mean, like for me as well, I've been speaking Tagalog for a long time now. And I'll meet a Filipino person and I'll be like, kamusta po? And they're like, ay naku, ang galing mo talaga. And I was like, I mean, I know more than that though, right? Like I just said kamusta and they're like, they're already impressed.
And so fun.
It's nice though. It makes it easier to stay motivated when you have people kind of cheering you on and wanting you to succeed and things like that. What about Jeremy? How much Tagalog does he know?
I would say we're probably at about the same point right now because he grew up hearing Ilocano, but then he did like his family didn't teach it to him. And of course, they'll say, that as a kid he wasn't interested in it. That
Right.
so
Yeah.
we're at about the same point. He was starting from a little bit more understanding than I was, but still no grammar really, or not too much vocab. And because he grew up hearing Ilocano and Tagalog in the same sentence, so it was hard to, and still is hard to learn what is what language.
So like his family kind of mixed it a little bit, like Taglish,
Hmm.
but with Ilocano,
Yeah, exactly.
whatever that would be.
Ilo Taglish.
Ilocalog.
Ilocano. That's a good one.
Being in the Philippines now for 16 months, what would you say like your favorite thing about living there is?
I feel like I don't want to say it because everyone says it, but I feel like you know what I'm gonna say too is it's the people. The Philippines, it feels like family. Just everywhere you go is so welcoming, and I think it's been such a blessing, kind of establishing our lives in one place too, where we're starting to, yeah, we just like see the same people working at the same stores all the time, and just are able to like build relationship with everyone around us. And I think, yeah, a lot of people say certain things about the Philippines quality of life, whether it's the air quality or whatever, but I think like the relational quality of life is really unmatched compared to any other nation that I've been to.
Yeah, the way that they value people is definitely different. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Everybody says that, but that doesn't mean that it's any less true, right? If anything, it supports the claim even more. Yeah, definitely. Filipinos are unique in that regard. They're very different than we are here in North America. We kind of have a bit of a more strict definition of what family is, I think, and who's included in the family group. I mean, most people just like hang out with their family after they move out. I mean, they might hang out with their family like over the holidays, maybe talk to them on the phone every month or something like that. But it seems like that wouldn't fly in the Filipino environment.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they're spending a lot more time together. So like, how is that with where you guys live and work now? Like you have like, you said there's some people that you see all the time. Do you feel like you've been included in the community? Do they embrace you in that way as well with the people that you interact with?
Yeah, I think so. I think being around longer and them starting to notice it's like, oh, okay, they just aren't here for a few weeks on vacation. I think it makes them more interested to have like a relationship with us. And it's been, yeah, really nice. I'm thinking of in particular the people like at the mall closest to our house is that they're always like, it's just whenever I go in there, I know that they're gonna smile and wave at me and say, hi, Ate Mary Jane, how are you? Like so I think it's just very comforting to know that. And but definitely there's still such a long way to go. It's like beyond just the greeting is like over the years really becoming a part of each other's lives. I think it will be really special.
How do people treat you knowing that you are from a different country? Like, is that a topic of discussion on a regular basis or do people not notice?
I think it's an unspoken thing where, of course, there's a lot of staring. Where we are, it's more rural, and in Manila, I go and no one stares. But I think it's surprising for them because it's rare that it would be like a young girl foreigner. To be honest, there are so many old white guys in the Philippines. And that's, I think, the paradigm that they're used to seeing, and I see it too. I see a lot of old white guys around, but I think it's surprising, and it makes them more curious of like why we're here. And they love our son to be able to go around with a half Filipino baby. It brings even more attention, but it's really sweet. It's all very positive.